Good morning, Twitch TV. Well, hello and welcome everyone, Twitch TV. Welcome to another MMO Anthropology live stream. I will be your host, Amarist, as usual, and I think I can see Dragon jumping up and down, and I think we just lost one of our guests. Oh well. I'm sure that I'll try to get him back in a moment.
Awkward.
So as usual, I'll be your host, Amarist, and we have a pair of guests coming with us. But let me introduce my co-host first, Nelson Williams, the editor-in-chief of Vox Ex Machina.
Hey, hey, hey.
And also with us is Draculicus, who is sort of filling in for my co-host Arian Keith.
Favorite necromancer.
And let me introduce our guests. We have Cithryth from Guild Wars Players Alliance, who do a podcast, which is where I contacted her at.
Hello, everyone.
And also kind of with us is Draculetta, who is also one of the hosts of that podcast, but I think that he's having Skype issues. Oh, wait, are you back?
I'm on Skype, but I'm not in game yet.
Okay.
Hey,
all right.
everybody.
Yeah, okay, so...
I kind of got it working.
Yeah, I've mentioned before that we have some goofy little... we do have some goofy little technical issues every time we start the stream, and I'm hoping that they are this minor throughout the entire thing, because they've been tremendous in the past. So I'd like... so Cithryth or Draculetta, or both of you, could you give us a little bit of a rundown of what the Guild Wars Players Alliance is and what you do on your podcast for our viewers?
Sure. So basically we have a site, Guild Wars Players, and we post articles and just pictures of pretty Guild Wars 2 outfits and characters and videos, just random stuff that we find in the community, and news, of course. We post that on the site, and then every week we have the Guild Wars Players News podcast, and we talk about all the stuff that gets posted on the site, stuff we did in game, and it all kind of generally has a new player lean to it, because the three of us on the podcast are, relatively speaking, pretty new players to Guild Wars 2, so it's kind of like our journey through learning the game and stuff like that. Anything else to add, Drac? Did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered it fairly well, actually.
Oh, so new like me, pretty much.
Yes, well, so how new is pretty new?
I started playing it in the end of September when they had that free trial week.
Okay. How about you, Draculetta?
Yeah, I actually started playing... I bought it a year ago, but I kind of stopped playing because the friend I was playing with, he quit playing.
Oh.
So I kind of drifted away from it, and then when we decided to start the Guild Wars thing, I picked it back up, and then I got pretty hardcore into it. But Guild Wars itself, I started playing the original Guild Wars in the actual first beta for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that all the way through, so I was a heavy Guild Wars 1 player.
So you know probably a lot of the lore that a lot of the stuff that's going on right now rises out of.
Yes, yeah, I'm kind of the de facto lore person on the show. It seems like I've kind of picked up that mantle.
Yeah, that could actually be pretty cool. I mean, because one of the things that I'm always curious about is why, especially because Guild Wars 2 is very storied. And I never played Guild Wars 1. So I have a tendency to lean really heavily on anyone that I meet that played Guild Wars 1, because I'm constantly like looking at the lush environment, and half the time I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, why this? Why that? I'm sure that some of the people that I play with kind of get tired of that eventually. They're like, read the wiki. So let's introduce characters. Cithryth, you have Sylvari, who's very cyan, and she looks like she's mostly covered in cultural armor.
Yes. I actually recently changed her look, but yeah, this is Cithryth. She's, I guess, my de facto main, just because she's my first character that I got to level 80. But the Necromancer is kind of stealing the spotlight lately. But yeah, she's very blue and gray and green. She's got the tier 3 cultural leggings and then the carapace chest piece.
They work well together, actually.
Damn.
How are you finding the Mesmer, especially if she's one of your level 80s?
I like her. I know. Well, I heard after leveling her, I started reading a lot of people saying like, "Oh, Mesmers are really hard to level, and they're one of the most difficult classes." But somehow this ended up being the first class that I actually played and leveled to 80. So I guess it's not too bad. I really like it. I think the mechanics are really unique compared to a lot of other MMO classes, I suppose. I like the portals for jumping puzzles a lot. They're very handy.
And, I think we may be getting Draculetta in game.
I'm trying to get there. If
Yeah.
it actually
I can
lets
see
me
your
go
little
this
head.
time.
Yeah, your portrait filled in, which is a good sign. So,
That is a
Draculetta,
good thing.
go ahead and introduce your character, even though we can't see you.
Can't see me yet.
Yeah.
I am my main, which I'm on right now, is Draculetta, and I am a level 80 Norn Ranger. And you will see that I'm very red.
Red
Oh.
on red on.
Okay.
Yeah, so a redhead
Very
with,
red, huh?
Another clash,
better.
but it's all right.
so same
Yeah,
question.
I'm sure you'll stand out in this crowd being very red.
Because Dragon's character, Bony Cat, is also red. So the same question I had for Cithryth, except for with Rangers. What do you think of the Ranger class?
I really, really enjoy it. I tend to, most MMOs that I play, I tend to gravitate towards the Ranger, Hunter, Bow type class. So, and I like the Ranger in Guild Wars 1, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think more so in Guild Wars 2 here.
So were you? I think I saw one of the most recent articles on the Guild Wars Players website was Rangers are if Aragorn and Ash Ketchum had a love child. Is that you that wrote that, or?
No, I didn't. That
Okay.
was one of our,
No, that
our
was one of
new
our other writers.
So I saw that and I was like, actually, that's kind of true because they've got swords and bows, and they also do a little bit of a Pokemon thing because you have to go hunt down the juvenile animal in order to learn it, so to speak.
To Pokeball it.
Yes.
Luckily,
It
it's not
does
as difficult as
scarily-
picking a Pokemon though.
Scarily, it does make sense. You are right.
So I think another thing that we can, since we don't have Draculetta to ask about his outfit choices, I kind of figured I would bring up minis because there's two of them hanging around. I think it's Bony Cat's and mine. Do either
Oh,
of
yeah.
you have like
I
minis
should
that
get
you
out my
like?
mini.
I'm very
yeah.
by mini taco.
Kitty. Ah, here we are.
Yep. Oh, there's Drac. There is Drac.
Yes. Welcome to our little
Hi.
conclave. Or
There seems to be some mistake. You forgot to equip a bow and equipped a stained glass window instead.
what is that? Like a pearl? Oh yeah, I think that's the pearl one.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those crazy recipes that I learned a long time ago. Or the sinister
Yeah,
ones are pearl, aren't they?
Yeah, it's Berserker's Pearl Stinger, and actually one of our listeners sent this to me.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I was pretty excited when right when I hit 80, I talked about it on the podcast, and the next day, actually they sent it to Cithryth because we had a little mix-up with my number on the podcast for a while. We were giving the wrong number for my character.
Yeah.
Nobody could add me or send me anything, and then finally once we got that straightened out, but anyway, he sent me this bow, and I've been using it ever since.
Yeah, I noticed that when I tried to add you initially, but I flipped through. I went to the page and flipped through, and then I tried again, and it went through. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And but it worked eventually, so everything was fine. So,
Yeah, it's
I'm not
weird.
sure.
hey,
Happened.
both of you have John C. or so. Well, I think
I have
It's the
Chauncey
only
on
right
top.
choice.
Yeah.
that's great.
No.
Oh, that's
No,
the greatest cat ever, but I'll fix that.
You have Zoja, of course.
That's the greatest choice ever.
Yes.
Having
Oh.
a gentle cat is the only right choice in cats.
There we go.
I see. It's a tiny Zoja. And of course, if you listen to the podcast, you know that Draculetta likes Zojo's voice actor.
Like
is
is
a nice way to put it.
that's pretty tame.
Yeah,
There's a
some
story
guys-
involving a con in a hotel room, isn't there?
Actually,
We
there
still
is a
haven't heard
story
that,
involving a con. There's
Well-
no hotel room involved. There is a con involved.
Well, do tell.
Yeah, I met her at Gen Con one year, and let's just say I got really close to her, but that's all I'll say right now. We'll save that for Guild Wars players, the podcast. How's that?
Right, of course, that
maybe
makes...
maybe next week I will tell the famous Gen Con story I've been teasing forever.
Oh, that would be great. I'll definitely listen to that one. I myself, I listen...
Tell it.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I need to remind myself to remind Direct to actually tell it. We were going to have him tell it on episode 10, but I guess we forgot
Yeah.
with all the expansion stuff.
Well, before we launch ourselves into the world of Guild Wars, and I'll let our guests choose what we're going to, where we'll go, like to a specific zone that you particularly like, or if you want to do dailies to show that off. I didn't do my dailies specifically so that we could do them during the show if we wanted. But I have, as everyone who listens to the show knows, we have another co-host who is not with us, Arian Keith, and she left a question for our intrepid guests here.
A
And
dark, dangerous question.
yeah,
Dun dun dun.
and actually,
Dun dun dun.
It-
Thunder.
it starts with kind of a silly little story, which is Arian recently has really gotten into being a mesmer. Not because of mesmer combat, but because mesmers can generate portals. And she
Yes.
loves jumping puzzles. Like
Me too!
Yes.
Aww.
And so she's gotten she gathers huge trains of people in order to part them up jumping puzzles because she thinks that it's hilarious. And there's a jumping puzzle I think called Specs Lab. I believe it's inside of a volcano.
Yes.
So there's lava everywhere and disappearing platforms that drop you to your death. And she was taking one of these newbies along to bounce them through the puzzle. And the first thing they asked is, "So what do I have to do?" And she kind of turns to them slowly and says, "Take off all your clothes." And they're like, "What?" She's like, "No, really. Remove all of your armor and your trinkets, because when you fall in the lava and you die, they will break." So,
Brilliant.
so the question, of course, was, especially for anyone who's been around for a little bit longer, because I guess if you're too new, this may not be totally right on the spot, but if you've been playing any extent of time, do you like teaching newbies, and what is your favorite teaching moment? And I'll let Cithryth start that one.
Yeah, I do like teaching newbies quite a bit. Like I said, we're all kind of new to this, so I think that's kind of where it comes from, because when you're a new player, like even just looking up information, or especially trying to ask in map chat, oh my gosh, I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's gonna lead to trouble and people telling you to Alt F4. But yeah, just looking for new information when you're a new player can be a bit daunting, especially if it's a big subject like looking up Mystic Forge, for example. Like, we'll just get you this huge waterfall of information, and you'll be like, I don't know what of this is relevant to me right now, what isn't. So I really like helping new players kind of figure out what information is relevant to them and their play style and what it is that they're doing in game right now, because I always get frustrated as a new player trying to figure stuff out on my own. But I think my favorite teaching moment for a new player, it's really tough, but I think it's probably to do with our other co-host, Athelros. He started playing like a month or two after I did, and I kept telling him, like, he was complaining all the time about not having any gold, not having any money ever, and I was talking to him and I found out he was just selling all of the crafting materials he would pick up to the vendor.
Oh,
I
oh!
did that too. I did
The
that too.
classic mistake.
And I was like, Thoros, no, that is why you don't have any money. And he was like, whatever, it's too much. I was like, just sell it on the trading post. It's really not as hard as you think it is. Just do it. He's like, no, it's too much hassle. I don't want to. I'm not gonna. And like, so this went on for like a week or so, and then finally he decided to like right click on something and do sell at trading post. And he was like, oh, it is that easy.
It is! In fact, that's one of the things that really drew me into actually taking part in the economy of Guild Wars 2. It's the fact that you can sell to the trading post from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know, isn't that amazing? That is just... Oh, I love that.
It's life-saving.
Mm-hmm.
Because all
And I
Guild
like
Wars
that-
characters have an infinite supply of messenger pigeons stuffed up their butt.
Stuff somewhere.
Well, some do.
Yeah, Dracula here has a dragon. Or, excuse me, a griffin.
As we will see.
Oh, nice.
He sent me a message, so I'm gonna get one too.
Because
Yep,
that was
there it
the
is.
first toy I ever got.
Oh, thank you. And what did I get in the mail? He said hi. Okay. Perfect. Excellent. Draculetta, what do you have to say about teaching newbies?
I enjoyed as well, and I think my favorite moment would have to be the first time Cithryth and I think Thoros was with us, took some of our guild members into their first dungeon, and we did the Ascalonian Catacombs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we had done it a couple times before that, so we kind of knew what was going on. But they were just in awe of this dungeon and how it looked and the mechanics in it. So that was, I think, a pretty neat thing to actually hear their excitement and see their excitement of doing that dungeon for the first
It
time.
is very awesome. That and Twilight Arbor. I love dungeons forever now.
Yes.
Twilight Arbor is, I think, my favorite one that
Yes.
we've done. We haven't done them all yet, but I think Twilight Arbor is my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Excellent.
agree.
Because I just
Of course
recently
I
got
am.
into them.
I am kind of partial to the manor just because you get to hang out with Zoja a lot.
And Logan,
know.
you know, Logan's voice
Oh,
actor is...
Logan.
Don't
Nice,
get me
yeah.
started. Don't get me started.
Well, I could go on about Ritlock's voice actor. I love him.
Oh, I love Ritlock, but
Yeah.
I have beef.
He was great in that commercial.
The
Super Adventure Box.
yeah, the Super Adventure Box commercial.
Yeah.
Ritlock. That is one hell of a Ritlock cosplay outfit that they made.
Yes.
For that.
Art the Ritlock.
So let's see. I know that we're here in Divinity's Reach, and I chose to start in this sort of orrery here because of the rotating planets and how pretty it is in here. But I'm wondering if everyone has a favorite, main city that they
I'm
prefer
pretty
to do their
partial
stuff
the
in.
Grove itself.
So what?
I'm
The
partial
Grove.
to the Grove, but only because all my characters are Sylvari. So I like watching all the other people with their Sylvaris because one of my favorite pastimes in game is just watching all the other people and ogling at how pretty their characters look. And there's a lot of Sylvari in the Grove.
Sylvari are the prettiest princesses,
Oh, they totally are.
as I am demonstrating right now.
By wearing nothing.
Well, otherwise you don't get her name if she's wearing her full necromancer outfit.
Yeah, it's true, because of the whole skinless thing.
Yeah. It doesn't show if you're covering all this skin that she doesn't have.
Still trying to be more necromancery than him. It's not working.
Well, you have the bone face.
See, your problem is that you have skin.
No.
And as our necro friends over here are showing, skin is not a necromancer thing, really.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You're just not getting into the spirit of it, really.
Fine.
Oh, what is that emote? Oh, that's the crying emote. Oh.
But at least
Yes,
I have a
yes, cry into your skull helmet.
Ram skull, thank you.
Well, we could pop over. We could run around Divinity's Reach and show people the city, or to the Grove, or to some particular location, and talk about it. Because I thought it would be interesting to go over, like, the way that Guild Wars or ArenaNet uses the art assets and etc. to generate atmospheres. Because pretty much one of the things about Guild Wars 2 that really caught me in it initially is the fact that the art style, or at least the rendering style, is very kind of watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of blends into itself. Yet at the same time, you play it for long enough, and it starts feeling photoreal. In spite of the fact that... Yeah.
It's this weird, like, actually one of our friends recently started playing Guild Wars 2 as well, and posted a article talking about his new experiences, and I think the phrase he used was, it's like playing in a painting.
Yes.
Like, it's like you can see all the brush strokes and everything, but after a while it's just like, yep, this is reality, totally.
Yeah, this is just the world just looks like it's slightly Van Gogh.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you wouldn't be too surprised if there was an ear out of place or something like that.
Definitely not.
So one of the things that's going on right now is the weird Tyrian / Chinese New Year, and you just turned into a giant monstrosity. Oh,
The Cauldron King.
the Lich form, or is that the
Yeah.
Grint?
It's the Lich form. He's getting his black cauldron on. He's Horn Kinging it up.
Well, we need to.
Just splurp.
Ugh. So, do we want to run off somewhere, or would you like me to continue to riddle people with questions?
Let's get moving. We can do questions on the fly.
That's true. Any particular zone that we would want to run around through? We could run into the human lands and gawk at the centaurs, or it seems to me we'd probably be shooting them.
Either one.
That works. Whatever keeps us on the move, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, whatever.
One of the things about that I started MMO Anthropology for is the fact that I like to study virtual worlds, and especially communities that live in them, because spaces in MMOs and etc. are active life worlds with their own game culture that also often gives rise to a sort of player culture because of the way that people interact with the world that's present. Ooh, a fireworks launcher. It doesn't do anything for me, it just fires fireworks. But I can steal food and other stuff.
That works.
Nom 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 nom.
Ooh, and a banner.
And a gold keg.
And now for the next 30 minutes, I have a crazy amount of buffs.
Indeed.
Okay, so we'll just go down this road and we can pop out. So one of the things that I really like about Guild Wars 2 is that it presents a large number of things to do, which is, I always felt that was one of the really big draws of games like World of Warcraft. You could fight things, you could do quests, or you could do go fishing, etc. I guess there's no fishing in Guild Wars 2 yet, but Guild Wars 2 does a really good job of articulating something that I don't think Warcraft did a very good job at, and that's the idea of exploration as its own end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't know how it shows up quite, but that's why there's a little star next to my name. And that's because I went out of my way to visit every damn place in the entire world at one point. I was very bored for a month.
Yeah, our co-host Atheros is currently in the process of world completing, and he's kind of run up against the World v World.
Oh yeah, that can be a pain in the butt. I actually, what was funny about that was I should stop stopping because suddenly everyone just halts like a train.
Well, you are the camera.
Yeah, I know. One of the things about World vs. World was, while I was doing like map completion, that's also where I went to do all of my farming to get one of the pieces for my legendary, which I don't.
Oh, okay.
I can make now if I wanted to, which is really weird to say because I don't have a legendary because I don't want to make it because I don't know if there's a giant worm here.
Let's go murder the giant worm.
I don't want to make my legendary because of Heart of Thorns.
Oh, yep.
Because I
That
don't.
makes sense.
I'm sitting there going, what if Heart of Thorns has a legendary I want more than the legendary I'm currently trying to make?
That's a very good point. I never actually thought about that.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question for both of you. Do either of you have your eyes on a legendary that you want, and have you thought of trying to work your way up to getting one?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, basically, I've looked into it, but I'm kind of at the stage where I'm still very much in the figuring out which classes I like best, and I'm kind of an alcoholic, and I haven't really.
Alcoholism, huh? Never heard
Yeah.
of it.
says the guy who generally has 8 to 10 characters.
Yeah, I have 9 right now.
Yeah, I have one character for every class, and at least one of every. So I
I
think
can get a little bit further. I have one class for every mustache. Or one character for every mustache. And not all of them are skinless clowns.
No.
Okay, a skinless
3 or
clown
4.
would just be terrifying.
Yeah,
Clowns are creepy enough on their own, but then if it was a skinless clown,
yeah.
Oh,
I occasionally spend my time putting on my skinless clown gear and walking very slowly behind people.
Key's done this in multiple MMOs. I think it started in City of Heroes.
City of Heroes. My first MMO character was a skinless clown.
Yes.
This might say something about me as a person.
Yeah, and her name was Jenny Skinless also. Which
Not
is
freaky
Cherry
at all.
Skinless is a
Wow.
joke.
He's like that.
And this character is Cherry Skinless because, of course, pun names.
Yes, because it's a very, very good pun. So I'm really curious about the Guild Wars 1 like human settlements and stuff like that. How much of Guild Wars 2 is like recapitulations of stuff that you saw in Guild Wars 1?
There's like little nods here and there. You can see, well, of course, when you're in the Ascalonian catacombs, of course, you pretty much know that you're underneath
Yeah.
old Ascalon, and when you run around that area, you are in the ruins of Ascalon, and you can kind of recognize some of the things from Guild Wars. Just like every once in a while, I'll be running around and I'll be like, oh, hey, it's Guild Wars. And then the other day, I was on my Necro, I think, and I forgot what area I was in, but I discovered a point of interest that actually was the Temple of Ages. It was sunken under the water, and it like took me a second, and I'm like, oh yeah, Temple of Ages. That's, so it's just like little nods here and there that they kind of throw in. They're not very glaring, I don't think, but if you spent a lot of time in the first game, you'll just kind of like appreciate them.
Yeah, guys, that's one of the things that I've actually begun to really appreciate is listening to people talk about how stuff in Guild Wars 2 reminds them of stuff that was from Guild Wars 1. And I never played Guild Wars 1, but... Nope, you're pointing the wrong way. There we go. These people here poisoning the irrigation. It's very rude.
Knows.
These are some very devoted bandits, considering that they've just lost like 30 of their number doing this.
And they keep coming until like the timer runs out. It's like they've got a stopwatch.
Stick some butter. Yay.
Hey, everyone loves butter.
They do sell well.
It's greasy.
One of the things I'm curious about, because you're talking about a sunken temple, and if I recall correctly, the Shadow Behemoth appears over a swamp where apparently there was some sort of a building there, I think, that is now down underneath the swamp.
Yes. Apparently, it is the last place that the 6 gods expressed their power in the world.
Oh.
It is the last temple where the 6
Oop.
gods were known to have been.
I seem to be lagging out.
Yeah, I am too.
Oh, okay, good. So for a moment there, I was
Yep.
like, "Oh no, is the stream gonna die?" Nope,
No,
the game's
that
gonna
was-
die.
No.
That
Guild
was
Wars is gonna die.
That was
Yeah.
Guild Wars time.
Yeah, that was the server. That was really weird.
Holy
See,
crap!
somebody is, think, using a dagger.
Yes, I'm daggering it up.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, like last night we were trying to stream and we were having a lot of trouble with this network, but so was Guild Wars at the same time, and it was really hard to separate the two to figure out, you know, what was our problem, what was their problem, and we eventually had to give up. Die.
Yeah, I think the first 3 episodes or so of our podcast, we just had technical issue after technical issue. Like, for the first issue, or the first episode, I was late for the recording, and then somebody knocked on my door, and, like, I record right next to my front door,
Oh.
and somebody knocked on my door halfway through. So that was super fun. And then I think episode, like, 3 or something, or 4, like, the first episode that Athelros was in, our recording software failed, and we didn't actually record the, like, hour or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, I
that we just
remember
did.
listening. I remember listening to the redo of that one.
Yeah. So many issues.
Yeah, technical. That's. I think that leads in nicely into another a thing about virtual worlds and about games in general, is that bugs are essentially part of the landscape. So here, let's go this way toward the garrison. And so I'm wondering, like, is it your experience that the Guild Wars is more or less buggy than other games that you have played?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like, well, Drac and I actually, and Athelros as well, we know each other because we used to be on another podcast together, Lotro Players News, which is part of the kind of podcast network thing that we're a part of. And so we all have spent years and years playing Lord of the Rings online together. And so we actually pretty much usually just base all of our comparisons on that game.
That's
since
fine.
we're new to this one. But I mean, that's a much older game compared to Guild Wars 2. It's nearing 8 years old. Which
Yes.
it is. And so, over time, lots of bugs have accumulated in that game. Guild Wars 2 hasn't been around as long, hasn't had as much opportunities to get broken, I guess, in 2 years. So I feel like it's mostly an age issue. I don't think it has any more or less comparatively, although I haven't played any other MMOs
so
that-
your wear and tear is generally a greater indicator.
Yeah. More updates means more potential bug introductions.
That's true.
Although also bug fixes, I suppose.
Yeah, and when the servers become unstable or stuff is going on, what do you end up doing? Because I mean, one of the things that I've always discovered about communities is there's often outside venues that collect people who talk about the game, either the forums or Reddit or some less official places like Twitter. And you know, if there's something going on in the game, you know within seconds, because there's half a zillion people. I was like, I can't get into the game. What am I gonna do now? And then people start like discussing the game with each other while laughing about the fact they can't get in. So what do you end up doing if like you wanted to come and play and you can't?
I think Twitter is usually my first stop.
To make sure that you're not alone.
Yeah. Although I've been having a lot of connection issues lately because I'm based in New Zealand and our internet is famously not very good. So I've been spending a lot of time being like, is this really just me or is this the game? Usually it's just me.
Oh.
But you usually end up spending a lot of time on Twitter trying to talk to people, see if it is just me or not. I also spent a lot of time on Tumblr. There's a pretty sizable Guild Wars 2 community over there, which I was surprised to find out, but it's true.
Because pretty princesses need screenshots.
It's true.
One of the things, like on the Pretty Princess angle, one of the things that they do on the podcast is talk about people's outfits.
Would mine work?
And all outfits work.
Yeah, you should get a
talk about
screenshot of your outfit and send it in.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, mine for my engineer. It's almost entirely a store-bought outfit except for her gloves because I hated the gloves.
Oh, yeah.
It's the aetherized... Oh, a patrol. Or escort. It's the aetherized medium armor, which has nice little doodads on it, which I thought looked great because it's very like steampunky. Except for some reason, the gloves just... I didn't like them. They had too many doodads on them or something.
Yeah, at least with the aetherized ones, you can switch out individual pieces. I'm not really into the outfit ones.
Oh yeah, because it's an armor set.
Yeah. Right, yeah. I don't like the outfit ones where you can't change, because usually it ends up being like, well, I don't like the boots on this or something, and I can't switch them out, because it's just a one-size-fits-all thing.
Right, so I'm really curious, when... Like, you, I assume, put together outfits for your characters and stuff like that from what I heard on the podcast. Does that mean that have you gone out of your way to find a way to get a particular piece that otherwise you might not have?
Yes. This is basically why I started getting into, why I really started getting into Guild Wars 2. I started playing it during the free trial, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, whatever, and I started kind of researching a bit more. And then I started reading that the end game is basically just focused on getting new armor skins, and that the gear, a lot of the end game gear isn't that much different stat-wise, and it's mostly about getting new cosmetic skins, and I was like, this is my game.
Yes.
This is the game for me. Because I love cosmetics in MMOs. So I'm actually working on my first kind of Mystic Forge created weapon for my Necromancer right now. And I'm trying to get the Spirit Links because it matches his kind of theme.
Oh, the Spirit Links, is that the softly glowing ghostly chain?
Yeah, it's like the purple looking. It kind of looks like it would be a Mesmer Phantasm weapon, but it's like chains.
Yeah, I've been looking at those ever since I think I was at the Fire Elemental, and there was an engineer there who had a shield and a gun that looked like they were Mesmer weapons, and I was just sitting there staring at them, going, "I want that now." And then I went and I looked what I needed to throw into the Mystic Toilet in order to make it, and I was like, "Oh, that's not going to happen if I'm trying to make a legendary." At the same time, I was like, maybe one day.
I don't think I'd buy if I was making a legendary. But actually, I ended up making my Necromancer because of a cosmetic weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was actually planning on making a Sylvari male Mesmer. I had this whole theme planned out, color and face and hair-wise and everything. But then that Kate's Bloom Dagger skin hit
oh my gods.
Outfit, and I was like, that fits so well, but Mesmers can't use daggers. It's like,
that's true.
What am I gonna do? And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just make a Necromancer so I can use this dagger skin. And I love Necromancers.
Yeah, I should tell you what I've been calling that dagger after the show because it's totally a spoiler.
Okay.
But I love those daggers. In fact, I went and I melted some of my precious gold that was going towards my legendary into gems so I could buy it for my thief. Because it's just gorgeous.
It is so good looking.
And I also I like Cithryth.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Yes.
Some beefs, but she's generally pretty cool. I really love that dagger because my Necromancer, he has the Sylvari hairstyle that's all the twigs brushed back and then the little flowers stuck on it, and the flowers look exactly like the flower on the tip of the handle of the Kate's Bloom dagger, and it's the exact same color and everything. So I was like,
perfect.
Wow,
yeah.
you just have to use this dagger. It's just fate.
Maybe I should use my meat dagger more. There we go.
meat dagger?
Yeah, the one Tequaddle dropped.
Oh, right, okay. It is a meat dagger, that's right.
It has a fleshy bit. I'm seeing fleshy bitness.
Yeah, here, can you link that in the chat?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
do that one.
Because I remember when you showed that off
When
first,
it dropped, yeah.
and I looked at
was-
that, and I was like, oh, that looks like,
It's got a cool name, too.
yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It looks like it was hewn from, like, a rib.
Mm-hmm.
A horrible, horrible rib. Wow. That definitely is a necromancer dagger. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It looks
Maybe-
like you pulled a guard scale out of the dragon,
I wouldn't.
complete with meaty chunks.
So, Draculetta, I was noticing that your bow shines, actually.
Yeah, it does. Every once in a while, it has like a gleam that comes off of it.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. I was unaware of anything that did that, but it also made me wonder, what do you do in the way of putting together, pretty princess dress me up for your characters?
I
Red.
don't really. Yeah, I'm gonna say red, pretty much.
His rule is
Red.
just red.
Red, yeah. There is one outfit that I normally, in any game I play, I don't usually spend money on cosmetics. But there's one outfit that I keep looking at that I'm waiting for it to go back on sale because I'm going to buy it. And that's the witch's outfit.
Yes.
I love the look of that because it's this like kind of like gothic, almost
very
like
cool.
vampire looking kind of, yeah. So I'm like, it would fit perfect with the name and everything. And of course, I'm probably gonna have to wait till Halloween to get it. But
Oh, because
yeah,
it's not
normally,
currently
like-
available.
yeah, normally like Cithryth said, I pretty much just red.
Well, that's my rule.
yeah, yeah. Dracul's characters are generally just red, and in fact, this makes for one of the most corny segues ever. But as it turns out, I have an extra character slot open, just so that I can make it a revenant when that comes out, and I have all colors of the rainbow except a red character.
Oh, hey.
And
Well,
so
there
my
you go. Perfect.
yeah, so my revenant will probably be red.
Another
A
damn
rapidly red revenant, huh?
Yes.
Another damn you for Amorist. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
That just randomly dropped.
Well, what was it? I don't want to. Actually,
A scepter.
okay, cool. Oh, just to describe to people for an explanation, damn you is what we say when we throw 4 rares into the Mystic Forge.
Toilet.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Flushing them down the mystic toilet.
Yeah. Well, we have received 1 precursor, so that may be all we'll ever receive, but it was good.
What precursor was it?
The legend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I promptly sold it and bought
Oh.
For like 1,000 gold. It was
yeah, and bought
Yeah,
Zap.
can't blame you.
Yeah. Well, with the money that was... But then I discovered that Ariane wanted it, and she didn't tell me because she wanted to make sure that I sold it and got the precursor I wanted. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, crap.
Now I feel bad.
Yes, and that's actually why I can actually actively make the legendary that I want right now, even though I'm sitting on it. But of course, if the new legendaries that are coming out with Heart of Thorns are, well, boring, I will probably just make Bolt because I love the lightning. Even though I really just don't like the blade on that one.
Yeah.
So I like swords that look like swords, but I do like electrical arcs coming out all over the place. So it's a very, very hard decision there. But at this point, I've kind of... I put so much time into getting the Bloody Legendary, not getting it would be just dumb.
Yeah.
And man, that was a little bit of a goal. I mean, that's another example of how I think Guild Wars has done a really good job of expanding the things that you could do, like setting goals. Except for I don't actually agree with the way that people get precursors right now, at all.
Okay.
RNG has no real purpose on a modern MMO.
Yeah, because it just that there's one part that just drags out. Reaching for the legendary kind of makes me cry. And I'm very happy that they're building in a way that you can make a precursor by essentially, I think, getting achievements in Heart of Thorns.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yes. So, although I have a suspicion it's going to be luminescent armor, basically. It's going to be a set of really weird collections. I have a suspicion.
Probably.
So, I was wondering...
it'll be a Tron Glow strapped to a newbie armor. And that's what it'll get.
Oh, well, actually, what I'm wondering is, for all I know, one of the legendaries that comes out with Heart of Thorns will be a happy rainbow unicorn sword. And if
It's a start.
Excellent.
if it's that, I'm going to get that.
Yeah, I think if I were to go for any weapon, it'd probably be Dreamer, but
Yes.
I don't have any characters that use short bows, so unfortunately, no Dreamer for me.
Yeah, if I make a second legendary, it will definitely be the Dreamer, because anything that fires rainbow pooping unicorns, I'm gonna have it, because that's just hilarious.
Somewhere else.
A pleasure, I'm sure.
I was really curious about people's opinions on what we know about the upcoming character class, the Revenant. Since a whole bunch of new info was dropped today, I think. Or was it yesterday? It was recent.
Kind of this week, and then today they had Points of Interest live stream, and they
Yes.
showed some gameplay of it, which I didn't watch.
Oh, okay.
But I read all the stuff about it, but I just didn't actually watch the stream. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I don't have the Guild Wars lore background that Drac does, so I can't really speak to whether they're choosing good legends to invoke or whatever. But I'm pretty excited. I think it sounds pretty cool. I think there's going to be like 1 million people who make Norn Revenants and name them some variation of Thor, because you can use magical hammers and throw them at people, so there's going to be a whole lot of that going on, I think.
Yeah.
Everything you need here.
But
well,
yeah,
That'll be cool.
But will they outnumber those who make Mario Norn chucking hammers?
I didn't think about that.
I didn't even think about that either. That's awesome.
'Cause
That's amazing.
There's the mustache.
There's the mustache.
I think
There's
Nelson
the mustache.
brought that up
Norn
earlier.
have a mustache for every occasion.
I miss the Incredible Hunk now.
Oh yeah. Well, before I ask Draculetta the same question, let me explain the Incredible Hunk. Apparently, there's a Norn character who has the weightlifter mustache. I don't even know what to call it. And his name is the Incredible Hunk.
I
And
call it necessary.
and he types in all caps, and he says stuff like "Hunk smash" and "Hunk protect." His friends from Tequatl. He showed up at Tequatl, which was great. Yes, he was very, very amusing. So Draculetta, what is your opinion on everything that we know about the Revenant?
So far, I think it's going to be a pretty amazing class, and I kind of like what they're doing. And like I said on the show this week, which will be out tomorrow, actually,
Cool.
It kind of reminds me, if you played the first Guild Wars, it's kind of like an Uber Ritualist. It's got shades of the Ritualist, but it's more than what they were, but yet I think they're harkening back to that, and it sounds like a lot of the skills are taken directly from Guild Wars, so I can't wait. I'm pretty excited to actually roll one up.
Yeah, I got to listen to the Points of Interest, but I didn't get to watch it, which was kind of weird. But it sounded like, yeah, we've managed to sit down in kind of a semicircle. It's hilarious with the meatmen and the focus.
The holy meat men.
I really like the sound of it, especially because I mean ArenaNet is working on adding new mechanics. And there's one thing that I always look forward to in any game that I'm playing is a new mechanic to play with, which of course also drives my alcoholism. Because I want to be able to experience everything that happens in the game. And the different classes in Guild Wars 2 have done a really good job of being different from one another. And so that makes me really curious about some of the stuff that's being thrown into the Revenant. Like, for example, one of them is, one of the legends I think is, I can't remember, the demon, its name escapes me totally.
Malix.
Yeah, Malix. When you're channeling that legend, it's all about not just throwing conditions on other people, but sucking in conditions onto yourself, because then you throw them onto other people. Whereas, which is kind of like a weird inverse of what my Guardian does, which is suck conditions onto herself and then burn them off for, extra healing. It reminded me momentarily of the Death Knight from World of Warcraft, because they're all about delivering, debuffs and conditions onto bad guys, but not so much about sucking them onto themselves from their allies, which is kind of a really interesting gameplay. Oh yeah, that's Boney Cat's favorite way of necromancing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've gone with signets and wells. I'm still kind of messing around with them.
Spreading out the horror.
Because I'm used to playing Diablo 2 Necromancer, so I kind of went with a build like that.
Oh,
Well, I hear from the podcast that Cithryth has been trying out necromancers in PvP.
this is true.
So what is that like?
I really enjoy it. I tried Mesmer first, obviously, because it was my main character, and I was like, well, obviously, I'll be good at this. I'm really good at Mesmer in PvE, and that's not true at all. Mesmers are really obnoxious in PvP to fight against because of all the clones.
Right.
And, but I for whatever reason, I just can't get the hang of PvPing as a Mesmer. I get flustered and I can't do it. Tried my Elementalist for a while, and that seemed better. Because just lots of DPS is obviously just really fun generally. But then once I made my Necromancer, I tried it with that, and I was like, okay, this is good. Because between Death Shroud and the Lich form and all of that, there's just you can just survive for ages as a Necromancer. I've gone up against warriors and engineers and guardians and nearly every class except for Mespers because they're jerks, and just survived, and it's awesome. I love PvPing as a Necromancer.
Yeah, I can just see opponents of necromancers looking at them and saying, these bastards, they have 2 health bars.
Just stay dead already.
Yeah, most people I know hate necromancers in PvP. I think there was a story once, some friends of mine went into PvP and totally got shut out by a group of terrormancers. They didn't even get a point, they just flat out lost.
Ooh.
For what it's worth, though, I'm told the true power of Mesmers in PvP isn't their abilities so much as their mobility. They can be incredibly hard to fight because you can never actually, bring them to battle. They're always somewhere you don't want to be.
Yep.
Or you can't get
Lots
to.
of teleport skills.
Yeah, so that's where the Mesmers get really annoying in PvP, is that they're just all over the place, and you have to, you have to run yourself down to wherever they happen to be before they can run off somewhere else.
Yep, between the teleports and the clones, it's a nightmare. In theory, I know how Mesmers can be good at PvP, but I can't make it work on mine, so I just stick with the Necromancer because 2 health bars is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. So what ended up drawing you into PvP? Go ahead.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think I have this need to just try everything in the game basically, and PvP was the next step. I'd kind of sworn off crafting for a while, and then eventually I kind of did that, and I was like, okay, well that's not so bad. And then the next step was PvP, and I was like, well, I avoid PvP in every other game, but I guess I'll give this a try. And it ended up not being as bad as I thought it was. And I just kept going and going, and now I like PvP.
So what kind of PvP did you get into? Because as I understand it, Guild Wars has a whole spectrum from world versus world to Edge of the Mists, and then there's SPvP, the structured.
Yeah, I've mostly done the think it's the Edge of the Mist. I'm still not entirely sure. Like, I know it's not the World v. World, but I don't think it's the structure PvP. I basically just go into the PvP lobby and then I queue up for the unranked matches. I think that's just regular PvP and not the structure PvP.
Okay.
And I've just been doing that, and it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, we're coming to the end of like the interview portion of our well, what I'm going to call the interview portion of the live stream, because I only want to keep
the physical challenges.
Well, I don't want to like continuously grill our guests for an entire live stream because it lasts about 3 hours. So for this part, I'd just like to allow our guests, Cithryth, first to speak to whatever she wants to. Like, tell us a little bit about your podcast so you can advertise that. Like, where would people look at the blog and pick up the podcast?
Right, so our site is guildwarsplayers.com, and that's where all our articles and everything get posted, and also the podcast gets posted. Podcast gets posted every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, I think? I don't know. Time zones are weird. I assume it's 9 a.m. Eastern. Sometime on Saturdays is the podcast. We record it live, though, on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, that's where you can find it, guildwarsplayers.com, and the podcast is on iTunes and all that good stuff. We also have a Twitter. We are at GW Players, so that's a thing if you're interested in the tweets and such.
Do you have a Twitch channel that you broadcast live on, or is it somewhere else?
We don't use Twitch. We use Mixlr, which is like a podcasting oriented live stream program. Ooh. And basically I think it's mixlr.com/playersalliance is our URL for that. If not, there's a link on the guildwarsplayers.com site. So
cool.
So what is your favorite thing about podcasting about Guild Wars 2?
My favorite thing about podcasting, probably just having a weekly excuse to hang out with Drac and Athalros and talk about Guild Wars 2 and complain about stuff.
That works.
So, Drac, what is your favorite thing about podcasting about Guild Wars 2?
Oh, that is a tough question. She kind of stole what I was going to say, but I will say, I think, other than that, I really like the community that we have built around our website and our podcast. We have some pretty awesome people that hang out in our chat room with us when we broadcast live. And you kind of never know what's going to go on, and a lot of times I know I get distracted by the chat room a lot. So it's always kind of a... It's kind of a fun little deal to try to remember I'm doing a podcast and I'm not just like hanging out in a chat room somewhere. So, because our chat room, you never know what kind of conversations you're going to get going on in it. Most of the time it's Guild Wars related, but sometimes not so much.
Sometimes not.
Oh yeah, a lot of our people do a very similar thing, but generally what I'm afraid of is the people on the call.
Hey, I'm innocent.
They terrify me too.
Well, our real agent provocateur, of course, is Arian Keith, and not having her with us kind of deadens the my needs to corral everyone else a little bit. But that's true.
Yeah, we get that.
Well,
yeah, we try to do like a family-friendly podcast, but so we end up having to rein ourselves in quite a bit because otherwise it'd just be, I don't think anybody would listen to the podcast.
Well, that marks the end of the hour, so if you two wanted to run off, you're perfectly welcome. But at this point,